Hello FPL managers and welcome back for another video. My name's Jack and today we're going over the knee-jerk reaction for GameWeek 35 after the first batch of games have been played for double GameWeek 34. If you guys are liking knee-jerk reactions, drop a like and subscribe. We are trying to hit 12,000 subscribers by the end of the season, so please try and help us reach that goal. As always, if you don't want to miss any future FPL videos for the rest of the season, have those notification bells turned on as we are going to be pumping out the FPL content for the rest of the year. So with that being said, let's jump into the knee-jerk reaction. So first off, let's have a look at the most transferred in and transferred out players so far this week and give you guys my thoughts on what I think of these transfers. First of all, let's have a look at the most transferred in players, beginning with Marcus Rashford. Unsurprising to see him here despite not yet playing in double GameWeek 34. I think he's going to be an excellent option for GameWeek 35. Obviously, wouldn't look to get him in this early. I think that is a bit ambitious getting him so soon, especially since he has 2 fixtures to play where he could potentially pick up an injury. Hopefully he doesn't, but I think it's still important to leave your transfers till a bit later in the game week before you lock them in, just because of injuries and sort of things like that. But Marcus Rashford, definitely a player that a lot of managers will be looking to get in for the rest of the season, especially if you didn't have him in for double game week 34, as Manchester United still have that extra double game week coming up, plus some really solid single game week fixtures, being West Ham away, Fulham at home and Wolves at home, 3 fairly strong single game week fixtures. So definitely Marcus Rashford, probably my favourite Manchester United asset to own for the rest of the year, so I think he's an absolutely essential pick. I was discussing in my live stream yesterday who are my essential players for the rest of the year, and Marcus Rashford's name kept coming up as the one player that you absolutely have to have along with Erling Haaland for the rest of the season, because of Manchester United's really good fixtures and Rashford's really good form in recent games as well. He's really recaptured some of that form that fell away slightly in the later parts of the season compared to what he had in the middle of the year, so I think Rashford is a really good option, as is Kevin De Bruyne as well. He's another player that is yet to play each of his 2 fixtures for the double game week for him in game week 34, but will still be a really good option to bring in for game week 35. Once again, I wouldn't say get him in this early into game week 34, but still he is definitely an option that I'm personally looking to bring into my side for game week 35, as Man City do face Leeds at home in that game, which is a really, really good fixture from an attacking perspective. Man City do have a history of scoring a lot of goals against Leeds at home and just in general, so I think having De Bruyne in the team for game week 35 onwards for the rest of the season is going to be a really good move. He is quite a good differential option, only an 18% ownership inside the top 100,000 managers right now in FPL, so he is a big differential at this point in time. Obviously, I would expect that to rise a bit, maybe around to 25-30% by the time game week 35 comes around, especially if he does put up a really good point score in game week 34. But I think De Bruyne is going to be a really, really good option to have in midfield for the rest of the season. He does actually have the second highest predicted points out of any player for the rest of the year, only behind Erling Haaland. So I think De Bruyne, for that reason, probably my favourite premium midfielder from game week 35 onwards. Up until game week 34, I would have definitely said Salah. No doubt he's the best premium midfielder to have. But I think game week 35, 36, 37, 38, De Bruyne is going to be the premium midfielder that you want to have in your side, as obviously Salah, despite having some solid fixtures, they're only just single game week fixtures, and Man City with that extra double game week plus some really solid single game week fixtures themselves, I think that you could see their assets outscore Mo Salah, whether that's De Bruyne, maybe Grealish could be a really good option as well. So I think jumping on Man City from game week 35 onwards is going to be a really good call. Stupinian, obviously a lot of people will be looking to get him in after he put up 9 points in his first fixture of the double game week in game week 34. Being a Stupinian owner for this week, I was very happy with the 9 points, but he could have had so many more points in this game, had 2 1-on-1 chances which he should have scored. If he did just score one of them, he could have walked away with around 18 points, and I'm assuming he would have been able to jump on triple bonus had he scored that goal. So a bit frustrating that he didn't add even more FPL points, but I'm really liking the attacking runs that he's making. He's really trying to join in on those counter-attacks, which is really good, and as he showed twice that he was trying to get in behind the defence, found himself one-on-one a couple of times, and of course with Brighton's 2 extra double game weeks for the rest of the year, plus some pretty good single game week fixtures around that, Stupinian's going to be a really good defender to own, a very cheap price of just 4.8. He's got a good balance of clean sheet potential and attacking potential, as he showed in game week 34 in his first fixture with both a clean sheet and an assist. I think he's a really good Brighton asset to own. I think if you want to combine Matoma and one other Brighton midfielder with the Stupinian, I think that could complete a really solid Brighton triple up for your teams for the rest of the season. Saying that though, Matoma, surprisingly one of the most transferred up players this week. I do think this is very knee-jerk, especially since he does have a double game week. He could put up a really good return in the second fixture of the double game week, and then maybe you've already transferred him out already. He'd be absolutely regretting not having Matoma in, as I still think he's one of Brighton's best FPL options to own. Despite not starting in his first fixture of the double game week, looked really promising when he came on, created a couple of good chances for his teammates, and maybe had a chance for a penalty shot as well when he went down in the box. So he could have easily walked away with FPL returns in this game. Also had a shot in the box that went over the crossbar. If he converted that, then he would have obviously not been transferred out so heavily by FPL managers. But once again, Brighton with 2 double game week fixtures to go. Yes, I understand Matoma has blanked quite a bit recently, but I still think he's a good option to have in the teams, as of course Brighton have so many fixtures still to go. And Matoma, despite not being the best in the last 2 to 3 game weeks, still has been in some pretty good form in the latter part of the season. Ivan Toney, another popular transfer out, 7 points in game week 34 as well. I think he is probably a decent transfer out, just considering that Erling Haaland's obviously a good option. Isak, I think he's going to be a popular replacement for Ivan Toney, just because Newcastle still have that extra double game week left in the season. And Isak is a player that's been in really good form. Obviously, Ollie Watkins as well has been a forward that's been in good form. Kane, of course, is always a solid forward option. So I can see why people are looking to get rid of Toney. Brentford's fixtures aren't the best, but you definitely could look to hold him as well. I wouldn't be opposed to holding Toney just because he's still consistently performing, getting those FPL points week in, week out. So despite his fixtures not being the best and not having any double game weeks, he could still be a decently high scoring forward for the rest of the year. But I'm not opposed to getting him out, as there are a couple of better double game week options that you could really go after, especially so late on in the season. And Bukayo Saka as well, another very popular player to remove from the squads. Obviously, Arsenal, a team with no double game weeks for the rest of the season. And I think now at this point, from game week 35, 36, 37, 38, it's all about going after those double game weeks. Whether it's those Newcastle players in game week 36 doubling, those Brighton players doubling, those Manchester United players doubling, Man City players doubling. There's so many good midfielder options that you can go for right now in place of Bukayo Saka. So I do think he's also a pretty good transfer out. So with these most popular transfers in mind, I'm going to go over to my game week 35 transfer watch list. So these are 8 players here that I really like for the rest of the season. They have really good predicted points in their last 4 fixtures, and they have some good fixtures as well where I think they can facilitate further point scoring. The first one here, of course, is Estupinian. He was already one of the most transferred in players. He's already got a 60% ownership into the top 100,000 managers, so he's obviously a fairly popular defender pick amongst the best FPL managers in the game, which would indicate that a lot of people should be looking to get him in. Everton home in game week 35 is a really good fixture. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Brighton walk away with another clean sheet here. Stupinian, as he showed in game week 34, has so much attacking potential. He's racked up quite a few attacking contributions now this season for Brighton, so I think Stupinian, an excellent pick for the rest of the season. It's still 2 double game weeks coming up. 20 predicted points across his next 4 game weeks, which is an average of 5 per game, which is fairly strong for a player of just 4.8 mil. Also, a Stupinian, a player that is expected to rise in price in the coming days, so a good chance to jump on him if you're capitalizing on building team value. Mo Salah, as always, a pretty good midfielder pick. I touched on De Bruyne potentially being a better option than Mo Salah. Saying that though, I wouldn't be surprised if Salah could outscore De Bruyne for the rest of the season. Obviously, De Bruyne does have that extra fixture when compared to Mo Salah, but De Bruyne does have a higher rotation risk. Obviously, Man City have other cup competitions as well that they're going to be prioritising their team in for the rest of the season. Obviously, Premier League is extremely important as well. But I wouldn't be surprised, especially once double game weeks start coming around again for Man City, that De Bruyne does see some rotation in these fixtures. Salah, on the other hand, has been extremely consistent in his minutes that he's been getting for Liverpool, and he has been consistent in his point scoring recently, especially at Anfield. Has now recorded a goal in each of his last 5 at Anfield. He's got Brentford at home, game week 35, 6.1 predicted points for that game is really good, and he's got 24 predicted points across his next 4 fixtures as well, which does rank in the top 5 for FPL players for the remainder of the season. So Mo Salah, whilst a lot of people will be looking to jump off him, I still think is a fairly valid option to have as that premium midfielder. Marcus Rashford, of course, he's going to have a massive increase in ownership. His price has already risen 0.1 up to 7.2. It's definitely going to continue to rise further as managers look to get him in for his double game week. West Ham away game week 35, another really good fixture for Rashford to build on his good form recently. And he's got a very similar predicted points to Mo Salah. Despite being 6 mil less, he's got a very similar predicted points at around 24. So I think Marcus Rashford a really good option to have as well. De Bruyne, as we touched on, he's going to be my favourite premium midfielder to own for the rest of the season. De Bruyne is a player that I'm looking to bring in this week. I think he's going to be an extremely valuable asset to own for the rest of the year. Leeds at home is a really good fixture. Has that extra fixture when compared to Mo Salah. Obviously, he does have that chance of rotation, but hopefully Pep does play him in most fixtures in the Premier League for the rest of the season. Obviously, you do run the risk of Pep roulette with a fairly busy fixture schedule for Man City, just considering they still have the Champions League as well to play in, but he's got excellent predicted points across the next four. 28.7 is around nearly 5 higher than Mo Salah. He does have the second highest predicted points for the rest of the season, only behind Erling Haaland. He is 0.8 cheaper than Mo Salah as well, so you can afford an upgrade elsewhere in your team if you do bring in De Bruyne. So for all those reasons, I do really like De Bruyne as the premium midfielder. Luke Shaw as well, he's a player that's quite heavily owned inside the top 100k, just compared to his ownership just in general across FPL. It's sitting at around 15-16% amongst all managers in FPL, compared to the top 100k where it's nearly at 50%. So a lot of those best managers in the game are looking to jump on Luke Shaw early, capitalise on not only his double game week 34 fixtures this week, but also to make sure they jump on him for his double game week fixtures later on. He's got good attacking potential when he plays, of course. 17.7 predicted points for the rest of the year is not massive, but with Manchester United's really solid defensive form recently, I think not only can Luke Shaw potentially provide some attacking returns with goals and assists, but increase his clean sheet tally as well. 3 clean sheets in the last 4 matches for United now, so I think they're in some really good defensive form. And De Gea as well, as you can see here, also a Manchester United player that I think could be worthwhile jumping on. I honestly would prefer a double up on Manchester United's defence compared to their attack. I don't think there's too many other standout attacking options in that United side. Yes, you could go for Fernandes, but he's quite a lot of money, and I'm not sure his consistency in FPL point scoring is worth it at that price. So I really like De Gea's got a good balance of clean sheet and save potential. 3 clean sheets in his last 4 fixtures, and at just 5 mil, he's a really good alternative to the more expensive and also fairly popular goalkeeper options right now in Alisson and Edison. I wouldn't be surprised if De Gea does become the highest scoring keeper for the rest of the season, over 20 predicted points for the rest of the year. Good clean sheet potential, and he's in a Manchester United defence that are in some pretty good form. They have really good fixtures from a defensive standpoint, as outside of their double game week, they've got West Ham, which is a pretty solid fixture for a clean sheet. Wolves at home as well is really solid. Wolves are a side that have struggled to score goals this season, as is Fulham at home as well, who they have in game week 38. Another really good chance for a clean sheet for Man U. So I think De Gea is a good pick as well. Grealish, of course, he's there. I think Man City options are going to be the way forward for the rest of the season. You could go for Grealish, or you could go for Diaz or Akanji maybe as that third Man City slot, as obviously a lot of people will probably have Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne. So when you're tossing up that third Man City position, I think Grealish is a really good option. He's got a good predicted points of 22.4. But if you're looking towards their defenders, Edison in goals could be good. Diaz also at 6 mil could be good, and as can Akanji as well. Those are probably the 3 players that I think will get the most consistent minutes for the rest of the year. And Isak as well, I think he's going to be a really good forward option. He's got that double in 36, a pretty solid predicted points. I'm just hoping that he gets more consistency in minutes and doesn't see so much rotation with Callum Wilson. That's the only risk with Isak, but if he does play the majority of fixtures, he's definitely a forward to look out for. With a fairly low ownership sitting under 10% right now, you could capitalise on his fixtures for the rest of the season. Thanks for watching today's knee-jerk reaction for Game Week 35. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 12,000 subscribers by the end of the season, so please help us reach that goal. As always, have those notification bells turned on. There's going to be plenty more knee-jerk reactions and other FPL videos for the rest of the season, so stay posted for those. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.